What's up, people? Welcome to a new review series brought to you by your boy, Alyx, man. And this one has been a long time coming. Ever since I did my Wrestlemania review series, everyone and their mamas has been asking me to do another one for Summerslam. You know, I've always had plans to do it. I've just been lazy, and honestly, I've been strained with time, so I never really had a chance to get to this. I've always wanted to go back and watch every single SummerSlam. And now that I have the time to do it, I feel like it's a great time to get it done. So this is the start of a beautiful journey as I go through every single SummerSlam. I've seen, 92 and 98. That is the only pre-2000 SummerSlams I've seen. So, other than those, everything up to 2000 is going to be pretty much new. So that's going to be very interesting, going back and watching the good old days of SummerSlam. I'm excited, though. This is going to be quite the journey. This is going to be fun. And I hope you guys join along with me as I review these SummerSlams. But regardless of how you view it, how you come along with me on this journey, I hope you enjoy this new review series. With that said, let's get right to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's SummerSlam!
Alyx, man, welcome to my very first review of my SummerSlam review series. That's right, we're going all the way back to the very first SummerSlam in 1988. I wasn't even born yet, Lord. And the show was all about the union of the Mega Powers, brother. We got Macho Madness with Hulkamania Dude to take on the Mega Bucks in the main event. A huge match for its time. You're thinking to yourself, this show had to be amazing, right? Come on, you had people like Jake the Snake Roberts, Junkyard Dog. You had Ravishing Rick Rude, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation. You had British Bulldog. You had so many legends, so many Hall of Famers. Demolition, Don Morocco. You had Honky Tonk Man, the Ultimate Warrior. Come on now. This should have been the greatest show of all times, right? 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 I'm not gonna lie to you. For the very first SummerSlam, doesn't quite live up to the quality we expect from SummerSlam nowadays. Well, honestly, SummerSlam nowadays isn't all that great either. But we've come to expect based off of the legacy that SummerSlam has built. Overall, it was alright. It was okay. Wrestling quality back in the 1980s was If you are a fan of ROH, if you're a fan of PWG, if you're a fan of, well, wrestling in general nowadays, this is kind of the show you should avoid. Not kinda. It is a show you should avoid. Not the best show to watch if you're an avid wrestling fanatic. However, I will say this. What made the show work for me is that it was meant to do one thing. And that was advance storylines for what? WrestleMania 5. And I feel like, in a sense, it did its job. When it comes to it being a SummerSlam pay-per-view, it's not what you would expect from the very first SummerSlam. But that's just an overall view of it. Let's break it down. Let's go match by match. Let's go detail by detail, and we'll talk about it more. So let's take a look at what SummerSlam was all about. The show itself was 2 hours and 30 minutes. I wish Raw was that nowadays. August 29th, 1988, again, before I was even born, Lord. Madison Square Garden, New York City. Again, Madison Square Garden is the home for a lot of things when it comes to WWF, WWE. It was where the first WrestleMania was held, so it would make sense that the first SummerSlam was held there as well. Commentary was Gorilla Monsoon and not Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse had to do some referee work. He was the special guest referee for the main event. So in his place was superstar Billy Graham. He's one of the best talkers in history. So yeah, he actually would be a good fill-in for Jesse the Body Ventura, you would think. And yeah, he was. I thought he did pretty solid as the color commentator, in my personal opinion. Gorilla Monsoon is always good. He's one of the best play-by-play, one of the best commentators, period, of all time. So it goes without saying that he was able to do a pretty good job with Billy Graham. And of course, the ring announcer was our favorite, Howard Finkel. The first match tonight was the fabulous Rougeaus brothers. I think that's Jacques and Raymond. No idea what they're all about. I just know their names. I know I've reviewed some of their matches, but it's not necessarily a tag team I'll be talking about when I'm 50 or someone I would put in the top 50 greatest tag teams of all time. They're going up against a tag team that I would put in the top 50 greatest tag teams of all time. That is the British Bulldogs. That includes Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. So, overall, the match was solid. I think the in-ring work was actually pretty good. Why would you expect anything different from Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid? I mean, come on. They're two of the best wrestlers of all time. Legends. What I didn't like was the finish, because it ended in a time limit draw, which, it's okay to get those from time to time. I do feel like every once in a while, going to a time limit draw does mix things up, does kind of put some drama into your product, if it's done right. I appreciate that we're playing to different aspects of the wrestling product, and not every match is finishing the exact same way. I appreciate that. But did we have to have the opening match end in a time limit draw? I personally would have appreciated if the British Bulldogs would have just beaten the fabulous Rougeaus brothers. Still a decent match. Poor finish, though. We have a video package of Outlaw Ron Bass attacking Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He apparently injured him. He put him out on leave. And as a result, Brutus the Barber Beefcake against the Honky Tonk Man had to be changed to another very interesting match, which we'll get to in a second. But apparently that was supposed to build to a match down the line between Ron Bass and Beefcake. Then we go into Bad News Brown versus Ken Petra. No idea who Ken Petra is. All I know is he didn't look good in this match at all. And this match was not good. At all. Bad News Brown is one of those wrestlers you go, why wasn't he anything special in WWE? He should have been. But never got past mid-card status. He ended up winning the match with the Ghetto Blaster, and yeah. We have a promo with the Mega Powers. We got Macho Man Randy Savage and the Hulkster brother coming together to join forces to take on the Mega Bucks brother. Just so much charisma in one segment. I loved it. You got the typical, what you gonna do, brother? Ooh, yeah. You had all of it, and it was great. It was great. The stuff you expect in a Hogan promo, you got all of it. So, there's that. And then we got Ravishing Rick Rude versus Junkyard Dog. Now, on paper, this sounds like it should have been a good match. And honestly, I was expecting a good match. I didn't get that. Is it just me, or and this is something I noticed too. Junkyard Dog, when he came to WWF during that time, was not having the best of matches. And it's funny because before he even came to WWF, he was having some really good matches on the territories. And for some reason, he gets to WWF and he doesn't live up to the standard that he set on the territories. Maybe he's past his prime. Maybe it's just one of those things where the poor guy got to WWF and, got complacent and settled in. I don't know. All I know is this should have been better than what it was. And then it ended in a DQ with Jake the Snake Roberts coming out to attack Rick Rude for apparently having a picture of a woman on his pants, which I'm assuming was Jake Roberts' wife, if I'm not mistaken. And it was okay, but it wasn't anything that I thought it should have been. Powers of Pain, that is Warlord and Barbarian taking on the Bolsheviks. Nikolai Volkov and Boris. No. This was not good. I didn't like this at all. I thought it was slow. I thought it was boring. I thought it dragged. I thought it just did not do good for anybody involved. I'm sorry, I didn't like this match. And again, I am someone that grew up in an era where the wrestling matches were a lot more fast-paced. They had a lot more to them than just big men who are big and strong and muscular. Matches like this might have been okay or good back then, but it doesn't hold up today. I'm curious to know, for those who were alive back then, if you're watching me, how did you perceive this match? Was it one of those matches where back then it was good, but over time it sucked? Or was it one of those matches that just sucked, period? Because I didn't think it was good at all. We got a segment with Brother Love, who did a talk segment with Jim Duggan as his guest. And it was a segment. Duggan talked about America and and then he ran off Brother Love, and that's about it. I don't remember much about this. Moving on to what I thought honestly was the best part of the pay-per-view. And it wasn't even a match. It was, but then it wasn't. So, Honky Tonk Man, who at that time was holding the belt for 454 days uninterrupted, history-making, and still hasn't been beaten, by the way, decides to come out and do an open challenge. Give it someone. I don't care who it is. Well, honestly, it wasn't an open challenge. It kind of was, but they were going to tell him who his opponent was. But he's all like, look, I'm the Honky Tonk Man. I'm the greatest wrestler alive. I don't need to know who my opponent is. I'm going to whoop his butt anyways. All right, then. So we wait, and then dun, 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 dun. Here comes the Ultimate Warrior, runs out, clothesline, splashes, 1, 2, 3. The crowd erupts, everyone goes crazy. We have a new Intercontinental Champion in a record-setting 31 seconds. 31 seconds! I loved this. By the way, this was a reign that no one expected to end so abruptly. Okay, we all kind of figured, and again, this is not something I was alive for, but I'm assuming people figured he would lose it in an actual match. Like, his run would come to an end in like this blaze of glory. Like, he'll have this big bout against someone big like Jake the Snake Roberts or Bret Hart. You're thinking like this big young star is gonna come have a match against this guy and overcome the odds and beat him in this blaze of glory. Nope. It was a reign where a cowardly chicken shit heel did everything in his power to cheat, use underhanded tactics to keep the belt, and rightfully so, it ended in a way that was emphatic of how it started. It made sense. It was such a good way to bring about the ending of what was one of the longest reigns for a heel champion. It still reigns as one of the best moments in SummerSlam history. To this day, people talk about this moment, and they should. It was awesome. I loved it. Even you going back and watching it, I guarantee you'll get a kick out of it. It was great. It put the Warrior on the map, and it set up so many good things going forward. I loved it. Great moment for everybody involved. Unfortunately, the show did not follow up with that awesomeness, because then we get Dino Bravo versus Don Morocco, which sucked. Why was Dino Bravo a thing? He sucks, and his finisher is terrible. It's a sidewalk slam. That is the weakest finisher I have ever seen. He beat the magnificent Don Morocco with a side slam. You don't do that. Match sucked. The next match was alright. Tag Team Championship match, Demolition versus the Hart Foundation, which should have been amazing. At least be a great match. It was alright. It was the very definition of a textbook match. They did some moves. It was executed pretty well. He had a couple of spots in there where Brett got beat up and Jim made the hot tag. And then the heels cheated to keep the belts. Very textbook. So yeah, it was not bad, but it wasn't great either. It was what it was. So Demolition, keep the belts. And then we go on to Coco Beware. Coco Beware, who was a Hall of Famer for doing nothing. He took on the Big Boss Man, who is a Hall of Famer. Who deserves to be a Hall of Famer. He's amazing. With Slick. And it was alright. It was an okay match. A couple of moments in there that were like, oh, nice. But then for the most part, it was Nothing special, so Big Boss Man wins. And then we go on to... I'm just going to save this match, and you tell me how good it will be. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Hercules. Yeah, it's about as bad as it sounds. And don't get me wrong, Jake the Snake Roberts is an amazing, amazing worker. But Hercules? I will say this. During a time when wrestling, well, the quality of wrestling wasn't really a concern, you at least had characters like Jake the Snake Roberts selling at arenas. Because everyone paid money to see that snake. The snake was a draw. Jake and his snake were big draws for these arena shows. 20,000 sold out Madison Square Garden to see the goddamn snake. So you can hate on his match all you want, and it was a bad match. But what you gonna tell him? Although the main event is what really sold out. 20,000. But let's get to it. Main event of the evening. The special guest referee is Jesse the Body Ventura. We got the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase. This was fun. I thought this was a good match. It's been a while since I've gone back and watched anything involving Hulk Hogan since the Wrestlemania review series. But one thing I can say that I loved about Hogan's matches is that he is such a joy to watch. Look, you can talk about his in-ring ability and how he's not really a wrestler, although he really can wrestle, he just chose not to. Hulk Hogan was one of the best parts of wrestling back in those ages. That guy is a... I'm sorry, it might just be the Hogan fan in me, but every time the guy hulks up, I just get a kick out of that. I love the Hulk up. Did he even Hulk up in this match? I don't remember him hulking up in this match. I remember a hot tag, but never a, you, brother. That's interesting. Then you add in there freaking Macho Man Randy Savage, who, one of the greatest workers of all time. You can't go wrong with that. And then Ted DiBiase, very underrated. Andre the Giant was not doing well at all. If you've seen the documentary on Andre the Giant, you'll know at this time, he wasn't able to do crap. He was in pain 24 hours a day. So he didn't do much in this match. The highlight of the match was Miss Elizabeth getting on the apron and ripping off her skirt to give us quite a view. Yes, she wore panties, yes, but this was rare. You didn't see someone like Elizabeth do that. Man, Elizabeth was gorgeous. Why is she not in the Hall of Fame? Of all women, why is Miss Elizabeth not in the Hall of Fame? But the match goes down just as much as any Hogan match would go down. The heels get the advantage, and then the baby faces make a comeback. Hogan does the big leg drop, 1, 2, 3. Hulkamania rules, brother, and so does the Macho Madness. Oh, yeah. They celebrate. There was a nice moment during the celebration when Hogan tried to hug Elizabeth, and Macho's like, WTF, bro? What the hell? Planting the seeds. It wasn't an exact like, oh my god, they're gonna turn each other. No, it was one of those small plants. I love that kind of storytelling. Those are the kind of moments I go, I see what you did there. You're setting up for a future main event match. That was smart. Because those of you who don't know, this will lead into Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 5. All 4 men did their job. I even thought the managers did their job. So the show ended on a good note. But overall, this was not a show I would watch more than once. Give me your thoughts down below about it. Again, this is just my opinion. I didn't think it was all that great. It was okay. But for the first SummerSlam, I guess the only thing that mattered was, did it get people in the building? And did people tune in afterwards? Clearly they did. Otherwise, we wouldn't be watching WWE nowadays. Now, would we? So next time we look at 1989, which again is a show I have not seen. So it would be interesting to see what your boy, the X-Man, has to say about that. Thank you guys for watching episode 1 of my SummerSlam review series. I'll catch you guys next time right here in your boy, the X-Man's world. You guys take it easy. Peace out.